Okay, Outriders full breakdown review. I put a lot of time into this game. I really have. I think we clocked in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days straight of playing this game, average between 6 to 8 hours. So yeah, we put a lot of time into this. We really did. So just to give you a little bit about the game before we go through the breakdown analysis, it's Square Enix, which, you know, that immediately got me super excited because I am a fan of Square Enix's games, and I was really hoping that this game would pretty much showcase what Square Enix can do on an online third-person shooter, 3-player, drop in, drop out co-op. We played the Xbox Series X enhanced version, and the game is also on Game Pass. So I didn't have to pay for it because it was a part of my subscription, but the game is £60 for the standard. If I wanted to buy it from Shop 2, it would have been £48.85, which, you know, that's £12 difference between buying the digital download and getting the physical copy. So yeah, just like any review, we are going to go through the breakdown analysis, and we're going to hit point to point, just like we always do. And the very first thing that we are going to talk about is the soundtrack that is used in this game. And I cannot fault the soundtrack in any way, shape, or form. The music to this game is absolutely magnificent. It truly is, and I didn't expect anything different from Square Enix, to be completely fair. Even the main menu intro that you listen to, that music is absolutely fantastic. So from start to finish, point to point, perfect. I thoroughly enjoyed the soundtrack, and I would even probably download it and listen to it outside of playing this game as well. And that's always a bonus, in my opinion. The sound effects and voice acting and audio effects. Now, there are some audio bugs in this game, 100%. 100%. Some of the time, the audio stops for certain things. We also, when we cross into certain areas, we get a really loud audio buzz, which sometimes made me jump, and it was kind of annoying after a while because it just kept happening. We even got to the point where we could actually replicate that sound bang noise over and over again just by running in a circle. So I'm pretty disappointed with that. Like, really disappointed. The player should never be able to recreate a bug within the game. So in terms of polishing, the audio effects in this game are not polished enough, and there are many audio issues within the game itself. And the voice acting, I can't fault the voice acting though. I absolutely adored the voice acting in the game. I grew attached to a lot of the characters. All the voice actings were all unique. They had emotion within the voice acting as well, because it is a story-based game. And yeah, I can't fault the voice acting side of this game whatsoever, but I can fault the effects within the game, audio-wise, and also the audio bugs within the loading screen and the scene transitioning screens as well. So that's something that needs to be fixed and combed over immediately, because that should not be a thing. Graphics, texturing, and weather effects. So graphically, this game, again, me playing this on the Xbox Series X, a friend of mine, Steven, who might even be lurking away in the chat, he was playing this game on just the basic Xbox One X, and he told me he could see a huge difference between his version and my version. There was things that were in my game that weren't in his game visually, but I have to say, from playing this game from start to finish, this game visually looks absolutely amazing. And again, it's Square Enix. The people behind the remake of Final Fantasy VII. I was expecting this game to look absolutely breathtaking, and I cannot fault that one bit. I can't. The game visually is very, 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 very impressive. Now, in terms of texturing, which this will come under slight bugs and slight glitches itself, we did have certain textures disappearing and reappearing at certain views. We had trees disappear and then reappear. We had enemies glitching from one place to another, but I guess that could fall down into maybe the server issues or within just the game itself. And we also had areas that had massive black squares so the enemies could run out from their spawn. And that's not, I hate that crap. I genuinely, absolutely hate crap like that. Just cover it up with something so players don't have to see a massive black square, you know? But like I said, in terms of visual, the game looks absolutely breathtaking. It's just there are texture issues within the game itself. Disappearing textures, disappearing artifacts and objects within the game. I had almost screen tearing at some point where the frames were just going absolutely crazy, and either the console can't keep up, even though it's a Series X, the console couldn't keep up with everything that was going on, or there was just too much going on within the game and it was causing slight stuttering, slight skipping, and some jittering itself. So I'm sure a polish, a comb over, or even a patch might even be able to fix that stuff. No problem. But please remove the black squares within games itself. Don't be that lazy. Cover it up with something, like even a cover, like a sheet. Just put something up over it in the game, just so it's not a big black hole. Because you see them in a lot of the areas of the game, and that's where, like I said, the enemies are spawning out from itself. Weather effects. There was ambient weather effects within this game. There was also ambient sound effects too as well. Thunder, lightning, rocks falling, pebbles falling, and stuff like that. And stuff like that got me goosebumped a lot of the time. In the jungle, there was some clicking noises itself that made me feel like I was being stared at by the predator. And because I had a headset on at the time, I could hear it going straight into my ears. And I was like, oh my god, am I being watched or looked at by an enemy or something? But yeah, all I'm going to say is just that the ambience within the game itself, the ambience graphically and audio quality wise, even some of the storm effects, some of the cloud effects and the distant effects and the water, absolutely fantastic. And I really couldn't fault that in any way, shape or form, not one bit. Gameplay and mechanics. When I first started playing this game, I wanted to try and merge a couple of games together to give new audience members a sense of what they're getting involved with, what type of game it's going to be like. So if I was to take Destiny, Gears of War, mash those two games together, maybe a sprinkle of Division, maybe just a sprinkle of Division itself, you've got Outriders. That to me in a nutshell is what the game is. If you've played any of those games, you know what you're going to be in for itself. It is a sponge looter shooter where you end up putting millions of bullets into an enemy to get them to drop, and then, you know, when they die, you've got chances of greens or blues or purples, or even if you get lucky, some golds. If you do get lucky. There is a difficulty tier system within the game itself where you start off at the very, very easiest level, and then as you murder the enemies throughout the game and go throughout the story, you go from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, and you keep going up. As each tier goes up, the difficulty obviously goes up, but the rewards go up too itself. So you need to find, you can get to a point where you're like, okay, this is now too difficult, I can tone it down a bit and go down a tier. Or like me, I kept finding it a bit easy and I kept going up all the way through the tiers, and I managed to complete the game on tier 10, which was labeled like impossible or something. But I was very well geared up, and I didn't really have that much of a problem with it. So I was really thoroughly enjoying the gameplay based, the gameplay within the actual game itself. And like I said, mechanics wise, you've got cover systems, spells, abilities, weapon trait. There's so much in this game, is absolutely insane. And again, I think they take a lot of ideas from games like Gears of War. Like I said, the gore factor in this game is amazing, so it definitely reminded me of Gears of War, and the cover system and the running system And then all the loot spraying all over the place, that was pure, for me, that was pure Destiny. And then the bullet sponging, Destiny dash, Division. So I thoroughly enjoyed the game from start to finish. Like I said, I put a lot of time into this review for my audience because I really wanted to have a weighty review. I wanted this to be a real good one. Mechanics, we've already pretty much gone through that. That's again within the actual gameplay itself. But I do love the fact that this game caters to basic players, advanced players, expert type players, because the tier system is so easy to manage. You can slot where you want to pretty much go. If you're finding it, like I said, too difficult, you can go back. If you're finding it too easy, and you can go forward. So you can customize the game difficulty as you want. And as you customize it, you're also altering the loot drops that you get from the enemies, and also the enemy level themselves. Replayability and game difficulty. Game difficulty, we've already covered that. Replayability, this game definitely has a lot of it. Not only do you have end game missions that you can do, which are pretty much like little raids that you run around with your own team, but you also have collectibles within the game itself. You have side missions, you have bounty hunters to go kill or assassinate, however you want to call it, and you also have beast hunts as well. You are not forced to do any of that, but you can do that. Just like any RPG, any game pretty much, I always do side quests first before I do story quests. So I pretty much 100%ed everything within the game. I done it all. Excuse me. I actually didn't write down how many achievements I managed to clear in one game. Let's have a look. Outriders. We got a lot. Oh, that list is pretty massive. Let's have a look. How many achievements did we get? 35 out of 43. 35 achievements out of 43. That's pretty good in my opinion for one massive run through with one of the 3 available characters. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I ended up running around with a tech shaman. I didn't want to be a tank and I didn't want to be a DPSer. I wanted to be a healer. Because the game gives you the choice of setting up your character, one of 3 characters that you can choose from, which is basically tank, DPS, or DPS healer. I went straight for the healer, the tech shaman, because I genuinely enjoy doing that. And within all 3 of those characters itself, they also have their own skill tree, which you can go up in any way that you want to. You can pretty much choose how you go up that tree. So yeah, I went straight in. I looked at all the traits. I went, okay, I want that, because all those were healing, and I ended the game being pretty much a full-on healer with my 2 turrets that are out itself. So again, it does cater to a lot of people that enjoy those particular games, those particular roles. If you like to be a tank and take all the damage, you pretty much can do. The majority of my friends that I played with or watched, they all had their own different classes. Some started off with tanks, some started off with mainly DPS as well. Didn't find a lot of friends playing the healer class, but that's fine. Like I said, I love doing the healing itself. I really do. But there is definitely replayability in there, because if you miss the quests, you can go back to do them. Plus, it's a loot game, so you might want to constantly improve on your loot so you can replay the missions if you want to. Or maybe you're looking for certain mods and materials within the game, so you can amplify and make your weapons even stronger, or find the missing abilities that you haven't unlocked yet, so you can merge those abilities into your new weapon. Because that was one of the great things about this game that I really enjoyed. You had 3 mod tiers each with all different spells and abilities within, like healing, damage, defense, and all that lot. And you can apply whatever ones you want to your weapon that you've already unlocked. And if you haven't unlocked them, you have to find a item with that mod in it, break the item down, and then that mod is then usable in whatever item that you want to put it on. I thought that was a fantastic, really awesome system within the game. I'm not gonna lie. Any game customization and stats building. This game is heavily statted, like super heavy. Like I said, if you've played Division, if you've played Destiny, you know exactly what you're in for. You have a health system, you have a armor system, and as all your gear goes up in level, your health goes into the thousands, and your armor goes into the 20,000s, the 30,000s, and it keeps on going up. Your damage output can be improved by modifying the weapon and upgrading weapon. So this game is full on stats. It doesn't matter how good you are of a player. If your gear and your weapons are just not good enough, you're going to get melted. Absolutely melted. So be warned. If you're not statting up correctly with your stuff, or if you're not putting the correct mods on your character, you're just making it harder for yourself. But customization, there are so many massive varieties of armor, weapons, gun mods, tier mods. They all look different color wise itself. So you can have one particular armor on and you might think, oh, I don't like the look of it. I would say it would have been nice to have maybe a transmogging ability, so you can turn an armor into a different image of armor, but that's me nitpicking. That's not really going to affect the scoring of the review, because throughout the whole game I found some certain pieces that I enjoyed, but I never ended up getting the full piece. And with the golds itself, the golds are, if they're not a part of a set, which they can be, so you can have the helmet, the chest piece, and the legs all part of one set, and it'll look pretty badass. But I never completed the game with a full set. I had a few helmets that were a part of a set, but I didn't have a full one. And that was a bit of a shame, because I wanted to walk around like a bit of a badass. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie itself. But yeah, there are plenty of guns in the game itself. Sniper rifles, pistols, revolvers, shotguns, LMGs, submachine guns. There's so much that you can get. It's just about finding what you enjoy to play with. You could go into the accolades, which is basically like a... What's the best word for it? It's like a... It's a page within the game that shows you all your stats. No. Like getting 500 kills with an SMG. Once you get it, you get an unlockable 500 kills with shotguns, pistols, and all that lot. So you can go through that tree. You can go through that page to see what you've already mastered, so you can then switch your weapons around and master something else and get even more unlockables. And you can, and those, when you complete those little mini missions or mini objectives, you get unlockables like emotes, that you can do certain emotes with your character. You can get certain cosmetics. You can get certain vehicle cosmetics as well. Even though it doesn't really do anything to the vehicle, it just makes your vehicle look unique. You can paint it a different color. You can put symbols on your flags. You can change the image of your flags. So there's a lot that you can really do within this game. Story, if applicable. It was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say anything more because I don't want to spoil it in any way. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's it. I'm not knocking any points off around the story part of the actual game because I had a lot of fun. I really did. And the game kept me hooked from start to finish. So, story, if applicable, it is applicable. The story was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Online co-op modes, features, and stability. Here we go. Here we go. Where do I begin? On day one, the disconnections were real. On day 2, the disconnections were real. On day 3, the disconnections were still happening. And I'm not talking about being disconnected from my friend and playing. I'm talking about running around and all of a sudden my game crashing completely and kicking me to dashboard. So the game just shuts itself down immediately. Or running around and having a nice big whack of a warning on your screen saying internet connection disrupted, or you've been disconnected from your session. It happened way too much, like annoyingly too much, because when you got disconnected, you had to redo your mission again. You got put back to a checkpoint, and you had to redo all the enemies that you killed. And yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but I was very disappointed. The level of disconnections were way too high. And if you go to their Twitter feed, it is flooded with people complaining about connections and being kicked out of their sessions. And I mean flooded. And they're all apologizing. So sorry, guys. We're trying to get it up and running. We're trying to get this. We're trying to get that. We're trying to get this. We're trying to get that. But from honest to God, I wouldn't have thought it would have been that bad for Square Enix. I genuinely feel it wouldn't have been that bad, but it was. It was awful. Awful. And it killed and ruined the experience a lot. So that alone is impacting this review 100%. The modes, like I said, you can run through the whole story with 1 to 2 of your friends, and you've also got the raids or collection of the pods after the main game, and you can run those for even more loot, even more enemies to fight, and they're all timed, and the better you do, the better your loot rewards are. So I love that mode. Don't get me wrong, I love that mode. I ran it about 5 or 6 times, and then I just started getting bored. Because I wasn't doing it with friends at the time, I was just doing it on my own. And the loot wasn't that fantastic, to be fair. I was still getting way too many blues, way too many low-end purples, and I just weren't getting any golds. Even though we managed to go up to like tier 7 at one point, and the enemies were like level 40, your character finishes at level 30 and you can't go up anymore. But your armor and all that lot can still go up. I don't know if 40 is the cap. I don't know. But most of my stuff was level 38 when I came off the game itself. And my pistols were absolutely amazing. But stability, when playing on my own, later in the week, it got a lot better. It really did get a lot better. It's just a shame that it was god awful at the start. If it was a disconnection like once or twice within the day itself and that's it, okay. It was in double digits. It was crazy. On my first stream, I lost 3 hours of not being able to get into the game. In the second day, I lost 2 hours and I couldn't get into the game. The servers were down, completely down. And, that's the problem with a game that's online. Full online. You can't play this game offline. It disconnects you and that's it. You're out. Wow, 45. That's sexy. But yeah, stability, it got better over time, but it is impacting this review. I'm sorry. I have to be honest. I have to. Purchase price versus digital price versus value of content. Value of content. So, purchase price, I would have paid $48.85. Anyone that bought the game online through the store would have paid $60. Do I feel value of content is there for £60? In my opinion, yes. Do I feel it's there for obviously $48.85? Oh, hell yes. I think £60 or $59.99 it's a good price. I mean, $49.99 would have been better at 50 quid. I think 50 quid is the perfect price point for this game, $49.99. But it's 2021. The prices of games are all freaking going up, So $49.99 I would have been 100%, that is the perfect price. The fact that I got it for $48.85, if I would have got it from Shop 2, I would have been over the moon. So I do feel the digital prices for the standard edition is too expensive. I generally feel £50 should be the perfect price point. But value for content is definitely there at the £60 price point, in my opinion. Microtransactions, any DLC? There was one DLC. I wouldn't class it as a microtransaction. There was one DLC that you could buy under a $5. It was just some skins. That was it. There's probably going to be more. There's probably going to be, you know, some DLC packs coming down for this game itself to maybe extend the story or to extend something else, or maybe even cosmetics. I'm very, very happy that Square Enix didn't do microtransactions though. Like, thank you for not flooding this game with stupid pay to win or, you know, just shitty microtransactions. Thank you. Any additional notes taken? So this is where we go through everything that I wrote down just to fill even more content into the analysis. Character customization is very, very limited and bland. I have to say I was extremely disappointed when I set my character up because there is little to almost no customization. I wouldn't say that. I'll say just little. There was only about 8 to 10 hairstyles. There was only a couple of this, a couple of that, a couple of this, a couple of that. You can't go heavily into this game customizing your character the way that you want them to look. It's not like Dark Souls. It's not like Code Vein. It's not like an RPG where you can make your character look exactly the way you want to. So I was very disappointed with that because it was very, very limited. Like really poopy limited. Diablo difficulty scale. That's the point I was trying to make. The difficulty scaling within the game or the tier system is very much like Diablo, where you go up the torment levels up and you get to a point where you're comfortable. Disappearing textures, trees, bushes, already talked about that. The crossplay, when you go down to where it says crossplay, because you can't, which I love that, by the way. Thank you so much for having a game like this crossplay. It did say it was in beta on launch, which kind of might, meh, really? But okay. Audio popping. Again, we did have too much audio problems within the game itself. You can change your character's appearance at any time at home base. I like that feature. Thank you. I actually did a tally of game crashes. You don't want to know what the tally ended on. Constant network connections on day 1, -2, -3, -4. Again, we've already spoken about that. Crafting and mod customization, we've already spoken about that. Cutscenes were interrupting game boss fight. I don't know, it was earlier on, I think it was on day 1 or day 2. But we had a lot of interrupting within the game itself. Certain cutscenes that would cut off dialogue as well. So you hear your characters talking about something important and then boom, it'll go straight into a cutscene. You're like, I was listening to that. I was listening to that. Audio bugs during loading screen, terrible camera bugs during certain cutscenes. We had bad bugs during cutscenes. It was bad. Even the end cinematic, the audio and the video of the cutscene split, and the audio was ahead of the video by about 3 to 5 seconds. It was... But how the fudge do you get that fucking wrong? How do you get that wrong? It was really bad. Oh my god. Navigation points to the wrong location from time to time. Please patch it. I ran the wrong way a lot of the time because when I selected some of the side missions, it would say go over there when I was supposed to be going over there. It blew my mind. I was standing right at the entrance of where the side mission was supposed to go to, and when I toggled the navigation system, it pissed off into the distance. It's like, you got to go all the way over there. It's like, no I don't, I need to go through there. Duh. What's the point of having a navigation system if it don't work? It's like a broken sat-nav. Being able to recreate sound bugs, we've already spoken about that. Silly countdowns to force area progression. During certain firefights, I tried to back off and get my character into a safe spot, and I'd have stupid countdown timers come up saying, you need to get back into the fight. That really annoyed the shit out of me. Like, really, really, really annoyed the shit out of me. So it's basically saying, you need to run that way now, or else. And I didn't like that at all. Hunt missions are spoiled by the data facts that you receive on the mission. When you get a mission on doing hunts, if you check what the hunt is by going into your like diary pad in a way, it shows you exactly what you're going to go fight. So it kills the surprise. It really kills it. But I do wish they did more of the bigger bosses. You fight some really awesome, like large ass monsters in the game itself. I wanted more. I wanted a lot more because I thought those were absolutely awesome. Massive black voids where enemies spawn from. We've already talked about that. Bounties, hunts, and collectibles. We've already talked about that. The game itself would make a fantastic movie or Netflix series. I had to write that down because I generally feel it would make a good movie. I generally do. So that's pretty much everything that I've written. I'm going to cover up my scoring because I've already put a scoring down. That's everything that I've written down. And that's everything that I'm pretty much just going to go through. So all it means now is for me to give this a recommendation and a scoring. Now, I have said a lot of good and I've said a lot of bad. What's important is what I should say that is impacting the score of this review. And number one, your disconnections, your internet dropouts, and not being able to play the game during the first week because on certain days the servers were completely off. That's knocking a point off my review straight away. Straight away. 100%. The audio popping within the game was so bad that I don't know. I don't know. It was bad. It was terrible. The desyncing, the audio delays, just no. Should never ever be a thing. So that's another point. I'm sorry. It's another point coming off. The black voids. I mean, that's me being pretty picky. But still, I'm going to talk about it. I don't like black squares, like massive exits and entrances where the enemies are running out of. I just think it's lazy. I generally do think it's lazy. The disconnections were really, really ruining the experience. Like, really badly. Badly. The audio popping, the audio disappearing from time to time, textures disappearing and reappearing. This is a very, 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 very hard one because I thoroughly enjoyed the game. If I'm honest, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. And I am torn between two scores right now. My brain is kind of going towards the lower one. It is. My brain is going towards the lower one. Even though I thoroughly enjoyed this game, on day one launch, it should have been far better. Like, far better. There could have been more quests per area before you moved from area to area. There weren't, in my opinion, there weren't enough quests to keep you in an area for long. You know, you move quite quickly from one zone to another zone to another zone to another zone. And I was hoping to, you know, to go back to be in the first area that you arrive at for a long time. And you're not. You're there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then poof, off you go straight to the next area. I am torn. My brain is telling me to go for the lower score. But I enjoyed the game so freaking much that I want to go to the higher score. But I'm not going to. I'm going to go with what my heart is telling me. I am happy ending this review for Outriders 7.5 out of 10. That's my opinion. 7.5 out of 10. I really, really, really did enjoy the game itself. There was just a lot of problems. Audio, video, disconnections. It's like the key freaking things within the game, you know? It's like, oh my god, you couldn't get that right. But yeah, 7.5 out of 10. I feel that is a justified scoring for it. Don't get me wrong, I will go back and play it every now and again, but I have no immediate desire to jump back on the game itself, and that is probably again why I've gone for a 7.5 out of 10 instead of an 8 out of 10. So yeah, Outriders 7.5 out of 10. That is my final scoring. That is my final review for it. Done. Guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Thank you to every single person that supported me during the stream of the review. Thank you so much. Leave your comments down in YouTube. Please let me know what class you went with. Let me know what you thought about the review and whether or not I was too harsh or too strict or even just too gentle on the review. I'd love to hear your comments and I will reply back to you. So thank you very much for watching the review and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.